Hello and welcome to another video by Easy Academy. In this video, I'm going to be covering a very important tool that is called SQL. This is a domain-specific language that is used to interact with several relational databases, and understanding why it was created and how to use it is very important as we're going to be interacting with different workloads that involve the use of SQL for either defining data structures and interacting with these data structures to put in information, to retrieve information, and to modify what has been entered into the data structures. So that's what this particular video series is going to be focusing on. You may be wondering why I am doing this. This is very crucial because if you take a look at some of the different data workloads in open source software like Apache Flink, like Kafka, like MySQL, and all these other data stores, Hive, HBase, and on and so on, all of them have some form of SQL that are being used for interacting. So a lot of times people may be confused as to why we're doing a particular operation a particular way. That is why I'm taking the time to walk through the fundamentals of the structured query language or SQL, so that you understand why certain things are happening a particular way as you walk through several components of either my course or some of the different videos that I'm creating on this channel. So that's why I'm covering this, and this is very important. So today we're going to be taking a look at why you need to learn SQL or structured query language, and also some of the different categories of SQL statements that are available. And then we're going to be taking a look at some of the tools that we're going to be using in this video series for interacting with the different data workloads and so on. Now, to get started, why do you need SQL or structured query language? Now, this is a domain-specific language that has been available for about 40 years now, and it is very important because it sets the foundation for a lot of data engineers, for a lot of data analysts to use when they are defining data structures and when they are interacting with different data structures and entities in these different databases. So understanding how to use it, understanding some of the different components of this language is very, very important, and is very crucial for your success as a data engineer or data analyst or whatever you are doing with data. It's very, very important for you to understand some of these fundamentals. So that is why I am spending the time to cover this particular concept. Now, the different categories of SQL statements that are available, mainly we have like two different categories, but this can be broken down further. But the two main categories are the ones that allows you to define the data structure. So this is the data definition language that defines the data structures inside the data store or the database that you're working with. So if you want to create a particular data structure to store customer record, to store order information, to store information about departments and things like that, you would need to create that data structure where you specify the different fields that are going to be present as part of this particular data structure, and you're also going to assign the name for this particular data structure. So in something like MySQL or Postgres or Microsoft SQL Server, we will call this a table. So the data structure will be the table, and you will create the table and you will define some of the different fields that are supposed to be used for storing the data you are supposed to work with. So data definition language, or DDL, defines the data structure. Now, once we have defined this data structure, we need to have another set of language mechanisms to interact with these different data structures, where we would need to put in information into the data structure, where we will need to retrieve information from it, where we will need to modify existing data inside the data structure, and also when we will need to remove what has been stored. So to do that, we have a different set of language mechanisms called data manipulation language. So this allows you to control what is inside the different data structures that have been defined by the DDL. So the DML allows you to interact with the different data structures you have defined using the DDL. So to do this, you would have something like insert. So insert allows you to put information or to put data inside these tables or these different data structures that have been defined. So that's the purpose of insert, to create new records inside these data structures. And then we have updates. that allows you, the update statement allows you to modify what has already been inserted into the data structure that has been defined. So once we have had the data inserted or created inside the table, we can use the update statements to modify what has been inserted into the table. Then we have the opportunity to remove. So if you have a need to remove a particular record, the delete statement allows you to do so. So this is a data manipulation mechanism that allows you to remove existing records from the entities that have been created. And then finally, we have the need to see what is inside. So to do this, the select statement allows you to do this effectively. So once again, just to summarize, we have the opportunity to retrieve records where we use the select statement. We have the opportunity to remove existing records where we can use the delete statement. We have the opportunity to modify existing records where we can use the update statements. Then we have finally the ability to create new records by using the insert statements. There may be slight modifications, and sometimes different database tools may give you something like replace or upsert and other different slight difference in syntax. Basically, that involves you combining the delete statement and the insert statement to replace existing records. So if you have something like replace, where you may see that in something like MySQL, that is something that you are using to combine two operations into one. So some data stores may have a slight modification of this, but these are the basic ones that are defined by the SQL standard. So you have the insert, update, delete, and select. I want to stop here because if I start bringing more, that would lead to confusion. So to summarize, we have two categories of statements. We have the ones that allow you to define the structures, and then we have the ones that allows you to modify what is inside this data structure. So the DDL defines and the DML modifies and interacts with these different structures. Now we're going to be having some tools that we're going to be using in this video series. So the first one is going to be Visual Studio Code or VS Code, which is an open source IDE that allows you to interact with code and different things like that. So if you are looking to work with this, you can download this for free, and we'll use this to set up the MySQL extension for VS Code to interact with the data store that we're going to be having running in Docker locally. So that's what I'm going to be covering in this particular video series. And then the version of MySQL that we're going to be using is going to be version 8.0 to make sure that we have access to the latest and greatest that is available from this particular open source data store. So if you're new to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel, because as I said before, we're going to be having new content coming out in this particular series. So if you're very interested as a beginner looking to learn and understand SQL, this sequence and this video series will be very helpful for you. So subscribe and then click on the notification icon so that as soon as we have new content, you will see it and you will get access to that right away. If you're looking to support the channel, please head out to Patreon. The link will be in the description, and also follow me on Twitter and check out my website for additional content that you might be interested in. I have a course that focuses just on processing data using open source software. If you're interested in this, the link to this will be in the description and you can check it out. Thank you very much for your time today, and I will see you in the next videos in this series. Thank you.